hi everyone, thank you for joining us today and giving us your time for this webinar. It is to integrate ServiceNow with DocuSign in 3 quick and easy steps. We are General Networks. We are the publishers of eSignify to the ServiceNow store. We are also bronze ServiceNow technology partners and longtime DocuSign partners. I am PJ Schwartz. I'm VP of Sales in the ServiceNow division. And Todd Withers is our CTO. He'll be doing the demo for us today and answering technical questions that come up. So before we really get into things, we are using the Zoom webinar platform, which is a little bit new to us. So if we have any glitches, which hopefully we won't, but please forgive us and we'll work through them. We are recording today, as I mentioned earlier, and we'll send that recording out afterwards. And for questions that might arise, please use the Q&A function of the Zoom webinar tool. If we have time, we'll answer those questions at the end. If we run out of time or if there are more questions that we can get to, I will send the questions and answers out in summary after the meeting. So what is eSignify? I like to think of it as a connector that sits between ServiceNow and DocuSign. It is a ServiceNow store app. It is certified by both ServiceNow and DocuSign, and it runs natively in your ServiceNow instance once installed. The latest version, 2.5.5, is certified for Madrid, New York, Orlando, and Paris. So the 3 quick and easy steps we'll see today are number 1, install and configure eSignify, 2, create a DocuSign template and an eSignify map, and number 3, deploy. For the installation and configuration, if you want to do this even today after the session, you can go ahead and get started in a non-production environment. You simply visit the ServiceNow store and search for eSignify. You click the try button, and then I always recommend that you closely follow the installation guide, which is available in the supporting links and docs section on the app listing. For step 2, creating a DocuSign template and an eSignify map, I'm going to hand over to Todd, who's going to talk over a few things and then do a demo for you.
Great, thanks, PJ. So I'm going to do a demo, but before I do, I have just 2 slides to show to kind of get you set for what you're going to see. The first thing I want to talk about is an eSignify map. An eSignify map is the integration point between ServiceNow and DocuSign. And basically what it does is it routes data back and forth between the 2 systems. So in ServiceNow, you have tables and catalog items, and in DocuSign, you have what are called DocuSign templates. The eSignify map sits in between, and it takes attachments and people records, including their email addresses and other data elements from ServiceNow, and routes those into a DocuSign template in the form of documents, signers, and data fields. And then once the signing process is complete, it brings back the signed documents, the certificate of completion, and data field updates, and pushes those back into ServiceNow as new attachments and data updates. So this is what an eSignify map is, and it's really the core of the integration provided by eSignify. So today, what we're specifically going to show is sending out a contract. That's the demo I'm going to show. So I'm going to start with a company record in ServiceNow, and we're going to create an eSignify map that's going to allow us to send out a contract from that company record to a vendor, in this case, and go through DocuSign and that signing process. Now, to do this, we have to create 2 things. One is the DocuSign template, which I'm going to show you. I've already created it, but I'm going to show you it's really fast to create. And the other is the eSignify map. So those are the 2 things that I'm going to show you in the demo here, that DocuSign template and the eSignify map. Okay, time for demo. So let me switch over to ServiceNow. This should look somewhat familiar. This is the ServiceNow platform. This is a vendor screen in ServiceNow. This is an off-the-shelf table that's available in ServiceNow. eSignify works with any kind of table, whether it's a custom table or one of the off-the-shelf tables. And in this case, you'll see that I have an attachment on this vendor record. And in this case, it's a master services agreement that I'd like to get signed with LongNet Consulting. Let's just take a quick look at it. So you can see it's, a standard MSA. And if I scroll down to the bottom, you'll see that there's a place for the vendor to sign and for someone from our company, General Networks, to sign as well. So, but it's not signed yet. Back in the old days, I'd need to print this out and fax it and do whatever I wanted to do. Now, maybe if you already have DocuSign or another electronic signature product, you may have another way to do it. But it was kind of a manual multi-step process to send this out. What would be really great is if right here in ServiceNow, without leaving ServiceNow, I had a button, let's say, that said send with DocuSign that would allow me to send this document out, this contract out for signature. And all we need to make that happen is that DocuSign template and the eSignify map. And so I'm going to show you that right now. So I'm going to start with the DocuSign template. Now, in this case, we need just a very simple template. It is the work of 2 or 3 minutes to create. I created already for this just for time reasons. This is this simple contract template. This is a template in DocuSign that you could use for any kind of contract. It's got really 2 important elements. One, it's got a placeholder document. This is going to be replaced by an attachment from ServiceNow that we want to send out. And then it identifies that we're going to have 2 signers. We're going to have an internal person and an external person that is going to sign this document. That's all you have to do in this template in DocuSign. Super simple. Okay. So the next thing that we need to do, though, to make this all happen is to create an eSignify map that's going to connect this vendor table with that template, with that simple contract template. To do that, I'm going to go over to eSignify. So this is the eSignify portal. When you install eSignify into your ServiceNow instance from the store, you're going to get this portal. And there's a whole bunch of administrative things that I can do here in the eSignify portal. This is an admin portal, and what I'm going to do right now is something that the admin needs to do just one time. And once they've done this, it's going to establish that connection that your end users can use anytime they want. Okay, so in this case, I want to create a map. So I'm going to go to Maps. And I have 2 options. I can create a map from a table or from a catalog item. In my case, I'm going to create it from that vendor table that we were just looking at. So I'm going to click Create New from Table, and that's going to bring up a list of all of the tables in ServiceNow. Custom tables and off-the-shelf tables. So here's my company table. I'm going to click on Create New Map. This is the eSignify map editor. So this is how you create maps. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to choose that template that we just looked at in DocuSign. So, and this has established the connection right here between this table in ServiceNow and this template in DocuSign. And I actually just need to do a couple of little mouse clicks here that I'll talk about maybe in some more detail later, and hit save. And just that quickly, as an administrator, I'm done. I've now set up the connection between the company table and that template in DocuSign. So let's see the effect of that on the end user. So now if I put my end user hat back on and switch back here into the ServiceNow platform, I'll go ahead and refresh the screen here. And you'll see I now have a button that says Send with DocuSign. If I click on that button, this will take me to the eSignify envelope preparation screen. So this is actually in ServiceNow, and it gives me, allows me to populate the envelope that's going to be created in DocuSign with ServiceNow data elements. So for example, in my case, I have this placeholder contract here. I want to replace it with this attachment that is attached to that ServiceNow record that we were just looking at. And the other thing I need to do is specify the signers. This is a field picker that shows me all the fields from that underlying record, from that company record. So it can see that the department head is me. So I'm going to drag that here as our internal signer. And then I can see our vendor contact right here. So I can drag that in, the name and email address. With that done, I can click on Create Envelope. And again, this is me as the end user. What's happening now is it's creating the envelope in DocuSign, and it's going to redirect me into the DocuSign embedded sending experience. And it's doing this so that I can place signature tags on the document that's going to go out. So this is our master services agreement. If you'll remember that placeholder that was in the template, that's been overwritten by the file from ServiceNow. And as the end user, my job is to place the signature tags where they need to go. So I'm going to do so for Janice Farrow right here. And her name, this will take just a moment. Date signed. If you're familiar with DocuSign, this probably looks familiar. I'm going to do the same thing for our internal signer. So, and I like it when these line up, so I'm gonna line them up real quick. Good. And now my contract is ready to go out. So I'm just gonna click on send here. All of this without leaving the ServiceNow environment. So I've been inside ServiceNow, kind of in that DocuSign frame, but inside ServiceNow. I didn't have to switch to another system. I didn't download the document. I didn't upload the document. All of this was really easy for me as an end user. A lot fewer steps than I would normally have. Okay, so now that's gone out. Well, from an end user perspective, it seems like it's dropped into a black hole. Where is it gone? Well, one of the things that you get with eSignify is this DocuSign envelope status. And so if I click on that, we're going to see that this envelope is pending. It's gone out to Janice and to Todd, and it's waiting for their signatures. And I can come back here at any time to track what's going on with my envelope and see who's got it and who's already signed it. Okay, let me close this. And what we're going to do now is I'm just going to go through the signing process with the two signers. So the internal and external signer. The internal signer was me. And if I switch over here to my email, you'll see that I've received a notification from DocuSign. This is a standard DocuSign notification that you're seeing right here. I'm going to click on Review Document. And this is going to take me into the off-the-shelf DocuSign signing experience. This probably looks familiar. I have my master services agreement. I have my signature tag where it was placed, and to sign, I just click right there. And now I've signed it. I'll click on finish. Okay, one signer down. Great. So we now need to have the external person sign, Janice, from our vendor. And if I switch over to her Gmail account, you'll see that she's received a similar notification. Now I'm going to sign this here, but before I do, quickly I'm going to switch back to the platform in ServiceNow to show you that if my end user who sent this out wants to know what's going on, they can bring up that DocuSign envelope status and see, oh, Todd has already signed. We're just waiting on Janice. This is really kind of a big deal. It eliminates a lot of phone calls and allows you to see, okay, Janice has got this. And if Janice has been sitting on it for a while, it allows you to call her up and nudge her a little bit on getting the thing signed. Okay, switch back to Janice's Gmail account. I'm going to click right here on Review Document. I'll do this kind of quickly since it's the same thing that you just saw. And sign right here, finish. Great. Okay, now both people have signed. So I'm going to switch back to the platform here. And what's happening in the background now is that DocuSign is sending status to ServiceNow on a regular basis. And pretty quick, we're going to see that this envelope is going to go to complete. And just a moment, there it has. And once that's happened, if I refresh my screen here, which I'm going to do, then you'll see that there's now a second attachment. And if I click on View, this is my master services agreement, but this time with both signers, both signatures right there. And in this case, I've chosen to download what's called the DocuSign combined document, which means that tacked onto the end is the DocuSign certificate of completion, which is what makes the signatures legally binding. You don't have to tack this on in one PDF file, but sometimes it's convenient to do so, and it's an option with eSignify to do it either way. Okay, so that's the end of the process from the end user perspective, right? So we click that send with DocuSign, we chose our file, we chose the recipients, we sent it out, all while staying within the ServiceNow environment. But we can actually make this a little easier if we want to. eSignify, in the eSignify map, we can set some options to make the job a little easier on our end user. So let me click send with DocuSign again and just remind you of what we did. So remember, we dragged in this master services agreement, and then we chose the two signers right here, right? We chose the internal and external signer. Well, we can actually do that administratively in the map as well. Remember, the map is routing data between the two systems. So in the map, I can specify these things. So let me go back. Now I've got my admin hat on again, and I'm going to go back to the map editor here and go to Documents. And now I'm going to automatically replace the placeholder with the first attachment. I can also do it by name with wildcard if that makes sense in my particular situation. And then I'm going to automatically choose the recipients. I get this same field picker that you saw in the preparation screen here in the map editor. So I can say, okay, well, this is going to go out to the department head. So I'm just going to drag the department head in as the internal signer. And I'm going to drag the vendor contact name and email as our external signer. Okay, so I've made those two changes to the map. I'm going to do one last thing, and that is I'm going to disable that preview screen. You're going to see the effect of it. So I'm going to hit save. So now as an administrator, I've just automated the process a little bit, make it a little bit simpler. So this preview screen right here that we saw, the DocuSign or envelope preparation screen, we're going to see how this is actually not going to be used anymore. So I'm going to hit back to go back into ServiceNow. And this time when I do send with DocuSign, it's going to automatically create the envelope. It's going to automatically put the MSA into that envelope, and it's going to automatically choose the recipients and take you directly to DocuSign. So now you can see that I've got Janice and Todd already selected. I've got my master services agreement ready to go here. And I just need to place the signatures on it in the same way that you saw just a moment ago. So there's lots more that you can do with an eSignify map. I can't nearly cover it in the amount of time that we have, but certainly we're happy to meet with you and discuss it in more detail as time permits here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and discard that and then point out one last thing. So what we've done here is not to send out one envelope. So administratively, by creating that map, we've now enabled this capability on any vendor record. So if I go back to the vendor list here and choose Synergy Leadership, and let's say I have, in this case, a leadership program agreement that I want to send out through DocuSign. I have the same button. I have it all in all vendor screens now. Once you set up that map, it's available to any user that you want it to be available to on any vendor screen. So I'm going to go ahead and click Send with DocuSign just so you can get a look at it. And in this case, it's going to upload this document into the envelope and take me into the embedded sending experience inside DocuSign. And you'll see this is, a different document, obviously, and we have different recipients. Javier happens to be the department head that's associated with this vendor, and Tim is our vendor contact. So, but you can see that it's now available in all these different vendors that you have. And again, you can create maps for any table that you'd like. Okay. That is the end of the demo. And so I'm going to hand back to PJ. PJ, take it away.
Thank you, Todd. You want to take me to the next slide, please? Okay, so the last step in the 3 easy steps for the integration is to deploy. So once you've built your integration in a non-production environment, you will then, part A, install eSignify in production ServiceNow, and then do some configuration in ServiceNow and DocuSign. Then part B is you will, just as you would normally within ServiceNow and other areas, use an update set to deploy your eSignify map to ServiceNow production. And part C is you migrate your template from a lower DocuSign environment to your production DocuSign environment. And to recap, what we talked about today is the 3 quick and easy steps for integrating with eSignify, which is 1, install and configure eSignify, 2, create that DocuSign template and eSignify map like Todd showed, and 3, to do the deploy. So questions, we have a little bit of time to handle a couple of questions, so I'm going to start going through the ones that were submitted through the Q&A function. The first one, Todd, is does eSignify have the option to include an access code for recipients? So an additional layer of security, if you will.
Yes. So yeah, let me talk about that. So the answer is yes. That is configured in the DocuSign template. And so let me just go ahead and do this again. So in the DocuSign template, we support all features of DocuSign templates. And so if an access code is set up in that template, it will go out with that access code. Now, if you want to have that access code be customized for each envelope, then we have a helper function that you can call, and we'll provide that as a recipe to you so that we can change the access code from envelope to envelope. But let me just bring up the template here real quick. And so if, for example, for your external signer might be the most logical place. If you had like here, if you had whatever access code you had set up in here, we're going to obey this. So this is one of the cool things about us using templates in DocuSign, is that everything you set up on your template, we're going to obey. But again, if you need that to be customized for each individual envelope, you can set it up here, but then we can customize it from eSignify using a recipe that we provide to you. PJ?
Okay, thank you, Todd. So we had another attendee ask about, and they're thinking about testing documentation. And the question was, can you add more than one person to e-sign the document?
Yes. Well, in our demo, we had two. So yeah, you can add as many people to sign as you want. So that is largely, you can do some things dynamically, but it's largely driven by the DocuSign template again. So in this case, there are 2 signers in this template, but we can have any number of signers. So you really can have 50 signers if you want, or you can have 1 signer for those documents where it's appropriate just to have 1 person sign. Did that answer, do you think, BJ, properly?
I think so, Todd. Unfortunately, I don't have more context than that. So if that attendee wants to follow up with me for more additional details afterward, please feel free to respond to one of my follow-up emails. We've had a number of people ask about eSignify pricing. So there is a subscription cost associated with eSignify as a ServiceNow store app. I will send our price list out in a follow-up email following the webinar. We had a question about, do you need integration hub or orchestration to use eSignify?
So no, you don't. eSignify is an app store integration as opposed to a spoke. So that is, there are more than one way to integrate ServiceNow and DocuSign. eSignify does not require integration hub or DocuSign spoke. Or orchestration to run. Instead, since it's a store app, it establishes that integration independently.
Thank you, Todd. Someone asked about, is there a cost for eSignify in subprod? And the answer is no. You can do a trial at no cost, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute or so. And Todd, we had a question about, what if there are multiple documents that need to get signed and not just one?
Yep. So yeah, you can actually have as many documents as you want. Let's see, I can probably actually demonstrate that real quick since we're doing okay on time here. Oops, I didn't mean to hit download there. I meant to hit choose file. And I'm just gonna choose a couple of other files here and attach them in ServiceNow. So what happens when I click send with DocuSign here? Oh goodness. Pardon me, I need to turn the preview back on to give you a look at this. So bear with me here for a moment. Okay, so I'm going to turn the preview back on and hit save. And then we'll use this one more time. So now I'll hit send with DocuSign. And so what happens is now it's automatically selected that first document, but I can add any additional documents that I'd like into my envelope just like that. You can also automate this administratively if that makes more sense for your particular use case, but your end user in this preparation screen can add in whatever documents they want, but if there's certain that you would expect, you can certainly do that. I can also make documents required up here so that they have to replace them with a file from ServiceNow. But yeah, definitely you can send out as many as you want. That's still in one envelope. It goes to the signers as sort of a package of documents, and they sign those all at the same time.
Okay, and next question, Todd. Can this work from the portal?
Yes, we didn't actually show 1056. We didn't actually show, I think I can actually show that. I think I have time to show that real quick. So when you create a map, you can connect it to a catalog item in ServiceNow. I have one, an iPhone catalog item right here that I've connected it to. And if I click on Like I'm ordering an iPhone, and in this case, I want the end user to sign the mobile use device policy before it goes out. So when you click order now here in the catalog, instead of just submitting kind of in that normal way, the first thing it's going to do is actually redirect me into a DocuSign embedded signing experience that you see right here, ask me to sign that mobile device policy, just like so, and finish. And what this means is that the people fulfilling the request are going to, on the ticket, they're going to actually have that mobile device policy attached to the ticket. So they'll see that, okay, the users ordered their iPhone, but yeah, here they've signed off on the agreement for mobile device appropriate use.
Okay, thank you, Todd. So I think we're at time for questions. I know there are more that have been submitted. So we will send a summary of all the questions and answers out in follow-up. It might take a day or two, so give us a little bit of time to put that together for you. And if you have any other questions, feel free to just send me an email and get back in touch with me. So we have a special offer for you as an attendee to the webinar. Of course, a trial of eSignify is always free through the ServiceNow store, but as an attendee today, we will offer you setup assistance at no cost. So what does that mean? It means that we'll help you install and configure eSignify in a sub-production environment. We'll help you set up a DocuSign template. And if you don't use DocuSign today, we can also help you set up a free DocuSign developer account that you can use for your proof of concept or trial. And we will also help you set up your eSignify map. Now, this would be for a simple use case, something like we saw today, but that offer is available to have our free assistance until mid-October. So feel free to reach out to me if you want to have us help you get started. So thanks so much. On the screen for you is my contact information. And of course, I'll be sending those follow-up emails, so you'll have that there. But feel free to reach out to me. We'd love to help you get going and get a trial going and see if it works for your organization. Thanks so much, and thank you, Todd.
Thanks all.
Have a great day.